Excuse me, sir, we can't hear you.
A Sri Lankan national was lynched and his body set on fire on Friday in Pakistan's Sialkot, about 200 kilometers southeast of the capital Islamabad. Reacting to the barbaric incident, Prime Minister Imran Khan said the horrific vigilante attack on factory in Sialkot and the burning alive of Sri Lankan manager is a day of shame for Pakistan. I'm overseeing the investigations and let there be no mistake. All those responsible will be punished with full severity of the law. Arrests are in progress. Punjab government spokesman Hassan Khawar told reporters in Lahore that police have already arrested 50 people. CCTV footage is being carefully looked into as we have been directed to complete the inquiry within 48 hours, he said. The savage crime was sparked after blasphemy allegations against the victim. Gruesome videos on the internet show men beating the prone victim and later burning his body. His car was also wrecked by the mob. The frenzied attackers did not care to hide their identity either, taking selfies in front of the carnage. Anti-blasphemy chants were also heard in the videos. The slogans chanted in the social media videos were the same used by supporters of the Tehreek-e-Labaik Pakistan or TLP, an anti-blasphemy party. A senior Pakistan official told AFP that Islamabad has been in touch with Sri Lankan diplomats over the incident and have assured them that all those involved in the heinous crime will be brought to justice. Pakistan's vigilantism over alleged blasphemy is well known, with minorities often being the target. Subscribe to One India channel and never miss an update.
So unfortunately, we can't hear you speaking.
Hello. Hello. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah, so we
Yes,
can.
Now you all can hear, right? Okay. Now, what I have shown you all a true story of one of our batchmates. Is Priyanta Kumar is my batchmate. He basically work in Pakistan, Sialkot city. He was attached to one of the manufacturing company. You all must have seen this incident sometimes back in news. There were many videos. Now, why I shared this story to you all? Because he is a good engineer, but he did not know about the sociology. That is where he made the mistake. He was in Pakistan. Pakistan culture is different to us. It is not Sri Lanka. It's not Kandy or Colombo. It's a completely different area. Can you all hear me? Is there any problem? Huh? Can you all hear me properly, or there's any problem?
so if you can increase you're not
Microphone.
that loud.
Give me a second. I will see what's wrong. How about now? How about now?
Better.
Better. Right. Okay, then we'll continue. Right. Um, this is, as I said, now Priyanta Kumar was working in Pakistan. It's a different culture. Now, what has apparently happened? So he has removed one of the poster pasted by one of their factory worker. It is related to completely a religion. Since he removed that poster, he has removed in good intention because it has been posted in a wrong location. So because of that reason, he has removed. But these people, they have taken in a different way, and so all these people got together and hit that person and burn when he was alive. So that is why I am telling the mistake that Priyanta Kumara did is he did not consider about the sociological factor in that environment. So I'm not going to share the other videos, but I will explain the other example that I'm talking, a Millennium City. Millennium City, actually, this township concept started Atharugiriya. Atharugiriya, so there are about 125 houses span across, 1,250 houses span across 125 acres land. This Millennium City that includes playground, swimming pool, clubhouse, lake, naturally created lake, and the internal tarred roads, many facilities. It's a small, like a city. Now, this Millennium City projects expanded, started even not only in Atharugiriya, in other areas. For an example, Jayala, there are about 100 acres, and Piliyandala, it is 97 acres. But Piliyandala project, the Millennium City Company was happened to abandon because of, again, public protest. Right? This public protest is because that land was originally belongs to Ananda Samarkand, who wrote our national anthem. So before he died, he has donated that 97-acre land to public trustee. So when he is donating that land to public trustee, he has written a statement saying that this land can be used for the benefit of the society, and government can decide basically for any the valuable project. So what government did, it has been given to Board of Investment, BOI, and BOI has given requesting proposal for individual companies. So Millennium City, the Selingpur developers, they also given a proposal and given a bid for that, and they won that. That's the highest price. But since that company could not understand the sociological factor of that village area, so they were happened to stop because of their protest. Their protest is because they were highlighting that Ananda Samarkand has written a statement saying that when young people marrying in that village, some benefit, 25 rupees or something, has to be given to those young people. Citing that and some other benefits, the people started protesting. After developing all the infrastructures, I mean, the road, drains, and the water supply system and the storage system. So even about 40, 50 houses foundation. So that company was happened to abandon that project because of the public protest. So that is the failure side of the project. That is because the company did not manage the sociological factor. If we go back to the Priyanta Kumara's incident, now Priyanta Kumar also got a protest, but he couldn't survive here. But in the Millennium City project, in a similar way, people were coming into the office and threatening in front of the manager. But that manager, very nicely, with a smiling face, talking to the people, balance the society. So they couldn't continue the project. but somehow there were no incident. Something happened like in Pakistan Sialkot. And the other story I wanted to share actually, uh, a story about a Grand Candian Hotel. This hotel is situated in Hantan, right? So earlier this hotel was named as La Candian Hotel. When this hotel started, I was a student at Peradeniya University in engineering faculty. We got a letter from villagers of Hantan. So they were complaining that the moment this La Candian Hotel started, their swarage is coming along with one of the ella called Kalu ella. So villagers can't use the water from the stream or water from nearby wells because of the swarage. So the protest is basically to close down this. Now they have given us, because they were thinking that university students or university will do something fair for them. The university has given to one of the independent society who voluntarily works in conservating Hantana, called Hantana Conservation Society. So we went there. We went there, I mean, we went to hotel. We spoke to villagers. And we investigated what has really happened with the storage system. We found that there is a built storage treatment plant that is actually activated sludge process system. We found that though they have built this plant, it is not working properly. So there are some problems with the system. So we arrange a meeting with villagers and the Central Environmental Authority, some of the politicians around, and the hotel management. So in order to resolve this problem, so they gave the first speak to the university, right? To brief what is happening and what's the solution. Now, the university students, they honestly investigated, but they did not understand again the sociological factor here. The presenter who started his speech with saying this hotel's storage treatment plant is properly designed and done. He wanted to say the balance, but it is not functioning. He couldn't say anything else. The villagers who were in the hall, they started shouting. That is because the person who opened up mouth did not realize how to start the presentation. He would not have told the sewage treatment plant is properly done. Instead, he would have been told this treatment plant is not working. But we can rectify to make it work. If it's work, we can function this hotel. Until such time, we will close this hotel. So that is the statement that university students would have been given. So now, by looking at all these stories, whether you are right or wrong, whether I am right and wrong, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. We have to understand the society and the people behavior. So without that, whatever the project, whatever the technically sound project, will not be able to implement in the society, right? So I wanted to highlight you all the importance of this sociological perspective, right? I think everybody got understood the importance. Yeah. Okay. I need to ask a question from you all. I know that you all are not answering, right? No, but anyway, have you ever wondered how the world works? I mean, world mean how people works, how this society works. If we be more specific, let's say for an example, have you ever wondered who goes to school or a university and why? Why you all are going to university? Why you all are going schools? And who has to go to the university? How do you know to raise your hand in, let's say, um, in this classroom when you all want to ask a question, but not in the dinner table. In the dinner table, if you all want to ask a question, nobody raise hand, so just talk. But in a classroom, if anybody wants to ask a question, generally, if it is a physical class, people will raise hand and then ask a question. Why do some people like classical music? Some people like the pop music or something else. Some people like all. Why is it? Okay, we are going to find out about all these things today, and especially about you. We are going to learn about you and your place in the world. Right? What is sociology? What is sociology? The term sociology was first coined in 1780 by a French essayist, Emmanuel Joseph, in an unpublished manuscript. He first talked about sociology in 1780s. He is not a philosopher, he is an essayist. Then sociology was later defined independently by French philosopher of science Auguste Comte in 1838 as a new way of looking at society. This is a picture of Augustine. Okay. The word sociology derived from Latin word societas. Societas. Yeah. Societas. Which means society. And a Greek word, logos. That's mean science or a study. Therefore, this can be defined as science of society or study of society. Right? The sociology term has derived from two languages, Latin and Greek, societas plus logos. That's mean society study. In fact, later on, many philosophers given definition for the term sociology. Yeah. Can you see the screen of these philosophers? Yeah. Can you all see? Can you all see? Hello. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Good. Now, what Auguste Comte, he defines sociology as a scientific study of society. Now, this philosopher is saying sociology means a scientific study of the society. Later on, another philosopher called Henry Fairchild, he defining as sociology is the study of man and his human environment in their relations to each other. That is also something similar to what Auguste Comte said. The Max Weber, he defines sociology as the science which attempts the interpretative understanding of social action in order thereby to arrive at a causal explanations of its cause and effects. He basically saying this is a science, this attempts to interpret of social actions, explaining the reason for that action, cause and effect. Right? So the other philosopher, Emile Durkheim, he is saying the sociology is a study of social facts through social institutions. all are very similar kind of definitions. Yeah. Anyway, the Comte wanted there to be a systematic science for studying society, a way to investigate and solve its basic problems. And while sociology today is very different from what Comte imagined and still kind of what it is, all the time the sociology is is evolving, is changing, right? The sociology is the scientific study of society and human behavior, but is not society is a great big thing. I mean, society is a walled city. The Seal Court, that's a city, society. It's the economy, it's politics, it's culture, and what does all of that have to do with raising your hand at the dinner table? Yeah. This society is just a group of people who share culture and territory. And culture is in everything, from the biggest questions in politics to the smallest interactions between people. So, yes, society is big, but it is also very small. Society is big and it is also very small. Want to see how? We look at this, a thought bubble. Yeah. Imagine you're sitting along in your room and you're singing along to your favorite reality show. Very loud. Not another person inside. Nobody is nearby. Society isn't anywhere to be found except you are singing. Even if you ignore the house that you are in and the parents, siblings, or the roommates you are probably bothering while you are singing so horribly, there's still the song that you are singing and the music that goes it with is there. Those things, along with literally every object in that room that you didn't make yourself, are all products of society. And you might be all along when you are singing loudly, but you are not alone when a friend first introduced you to the musical and its songs. For that matter, your taste in music is not purely your either. So when your friend is introducing a song, it is not, maybe not your taste. What kind of music you like can be influenced by anything from what you exposed to as a kid to what your friends like now, to what neighborhoods you grew up, or what schools you went to. All these things matter for you to select a song. You think that it is your decision, but it is not. Society is tricky. It gets in places you might not expect. Yeah. Okay. So when we say that sociology is the study of society and human behavior, that means that sociology is incredibly broad. That is because it's study about society and human behavior. In fact, it may be the broadest of what we call the social sciences. The social sciences include disciplines like maybe economics, psychology, political science, criminology, finance, right? There are many social sciences. And while they all have different focuses and perspectives, they are all trying to understand the social world objectively through controlled and repeated observation. That's the similarity. Yeah, all the social sciences trying to understand the social world objectively through controlled and repeated observation. In economics, they see if you increase price, so what will happen? The buyer's decision in purchasing. Yeah. If you increase the interest rate, what will happen? To the finance market. Yeah. So all they objectively observe through control and repeated observations. Yeah. Okay. So what makes sociology different from any other social sciences then? Well, like the others, sociology is looking for patterns. We try to understand patterns, recurring characteristics or events, but it looks for all kind of patterns and all kind of places. That's the difference. So sociology looks at all aspects of society and all the scales from two people talking to differences between nations. It is this scope that really sets sociology apart, especially in what is known as the sociological perspective. Sociological perspective. In the sociological perspective means two things. This is very important, right? The one, it means seeing the general in the particular. Seeing the general in the particular. Two, it means seeing the strange in the familiar. These are two concepts that we need to understand properly. in order to understand the society, in order to understand the human behavior, cause and effect relationship. Yeah. Okay. Seeing the general, if you all want to make a note, you all have to make a note, right? If you all want me to repeat anything, so please let me know, right? I will repeat it, right? If you all want more any clarifications, please stop me and ask, right? So this is the correct time to study, and then you can just forget about. Yeah. Okay. Now, seeing the general and the particular is a way of saying that sociology tries to understand social behavior by placing it in its wider social context. Why I am saying so? Now, you are going to see something general in a particular behavior. To go back to our loved Paila singing in your room, right? The sociologist who overhear you from the sidewalk might notice not just your choice of what to sing, but how the individual choice may have been influenced by your class, neighborhood, race, gender, or age. That's the difference. It is not the just a song. Yeah. He may think, he or she, the sociologist, he may think how that individual choice may have been influenced by your class, your neighborhood, race, gender, or age. He sees in your particular actions something general. So you are only an individual person. You are singing inside the room. The sociologist who just passing near your home, he just over here. He doesn't see only the song that you are singing. He see a general thing in your particular behavior. Now, to understand society, we should be able to see always a general thing in particular. Right? I hope you all understood. Okay, we'll take another example. Sociologists might not care whether or not you in particular have to get married. But he or she might be interested in learning more about a declining marriage rate in our society and say what's causing it and whether it is having any social impacts. He is not worrying about a particular person whether you marry or not. He may interest in whether there is a decline in the pattern. He see something general in the particular, right? Or maybe she is more interested in the fact that the Sri Lankan peoples tend to marry patterns of the some class and the race as them. In both of these cases, what people sing or what they marry, the sociologist is interested in general pattern, a pattern composed of a massive number of particular individual choices. Each individual forms part of the pattern, and in looking at their individual choices, sociologists can see elements of the whole pattern, like seeing how a single stone fits into a mosaic. Okay. Now, the other one, the number 2, seeing the strange in the familiar is the second part of the sociological perspective. Seeing the strange in the familiar. And it is maybe more difficult to do. Why is it? To see the strange in a familiar as to approach the everyday world as though you were seeing it for the first time, as if you were from another world. Now, every day you see when you get up, you have a tea. You're very familiar. Now, in sociology, they're asking you to see some strange in that familiarity. This is very hard. But it also incredibly important and kind of cool when you ask at the very beginning. You have raised your hand to ask a question in your maths class, but not at your dinner table. Yeah. You see strange in the family. That's a very small example of trying to see the strange in family. And this is so hard to do because your own society tends to look normal to you. You take it for granted as you are associated into it, as you are socialized into it. You taught a common sense understanding of society. And that is not a bad thing. But after all, you need a common sense understanding of society in order to live it in, right? So otherwise, you are unable to live with the society if you can't understand the common sense. You need to know that you shake hands when you meet someone new. Yeah, everybody does. And that when the traffic light is red, so you know that you need to stop your vehicle. And when you are in an office meeting, if somebody is showing a watch, so you know that he is showing, reminding you about the time, so whether to stop or to conclude. Yeah. Sociology is going to study society. It needs to be able to look at these things as strange and unfamiliar. You can't see those things as familiar. You have to see those things as strange. Then only you can understand how they work and to uncover the patterns and the behavior in the culture. Right? You'll have any question so far? Any question? Hmm? Okay. About 200 years ago, in the US and many European countries, it was common sense that only white men were capable of participating in the society. About 200 years ago. Yeah. Only the white people can participate in the society, not the dark people. It was common sense that slavery was right. during that period. So they brought the African people, and all those African people were working in their homes or in factories, so they don't get wage, so they get only the food to live, the slavery. And the woman shouldn't be allowed for vote during that period. They are not allowed women to vote. By that time, those are common sense, and those were right. These things were common sense in the same way that their opposites are taken for granted now. Now what? Now, whether you're black or white, you can participating in the society. And slavery is not a right thing. And even the women are allowed in voting. Right? That common sense became different. So that is why we should not look at common sense just as a normal people. We have to see that common thing, the familiar thing, in a strange way, in a different way. Otherwise, these things will not change. You also identify this there's nothing wrong, so it will continue in the same way. Sociologists, they have looked at the things in a strange way. Because of that reason, those things change after 200 years. Got it? Right. And the sociological perspective, seeing the general in the particular and the strange in the familiar, that's the two perspective, help us to understand problem like those, because it helps us to see some of the key concepts in the study of society. These concepts are social location, marginalization, and power and inequality. You all should remember, this is very important concepts. These are very important concepts. Social locations, marginalization, power and inequality. This is like a story, right? Now, I told you why we want to know the sociology and some definitions, and we discuss the sociological perspective, two things. And now we are talking about concepts, three concepts: social location, marginalization, and power and inequality. The first one, social location. Social location. Okay. If you imagine a map of society, living out all different social groups and their relationships to each other, then your social location is your spot on the map. Here you are. Okay. Your social location is a way of classifying yourself by your race, your social class, your gender, your education, religion, and many more. Understanding the social location is important because just like the sociologists look for the general in the particular, the person's life and choices will be influenced by their social location. Right? The person a boy or a girl who born to a business family will run a business. Yeah. A boy or a girl who born in a political family will be a politicians. Yeah, most of the time. So it is not that you decide what you are doing or what you have to do. Your society is deciding that. Right? This is true in a bunch of ways. Most obvious is that your social location can limit your choices. Right? Some groups have legal right and privilege that others don't in the society. For an example, let's imagine you are in US society, right? Now, until few years ago, in US society, the gays and lesbians couldn't legally marry. But now it is possible. But in Sri Lanka, no, you can't do. That's mean the social location limited their choices. Right? But social location also impact what you learn and what you thought about the society. Whether or not you go to college, for instance, can be heavily influenced by whether the social class you grew up intends to see college as a real or a valuable possibility. If your society is thinking that education is no use, you won't go to school. You won't go to universities. Right? That society influence your decision. And social location also affects what others have learned and are taught about you. We'll take again the US society example. You will see the consisting finding that resumes with names that sounds African Americans tend to get called for an interview much less than those with the white sounding names in America, even though the resumes are identical otherwise. Resumes are same, qualifications are same, experience are same, but when calling for interview, so when they realize that this is not a white person, so it's a less chance. Yeah. These kind of things are there in all the societies, right? So sometimes among some of the schools in Sri Lanka, these things can happen. Yeah. In all these ways, social locations contribute to the marginalization of the social group. What is this? If a social group is marginalized, it means that it occupies a position outside the center of power. Marginalized groups are often racial, ethical, or a sexual or a religious minorities. And marginalized groups tends to have a clearer view of how power operates. You got it? For an example, until maybe a decade or two, the Tamil people who pluck teas in upcountry, they did not have the voting power. Right? So that social group is marginalized. The power position is outside. They are unable to choose their administrator. Right? Another example. Heterosexual people might not fully realize the privilege that they have in having their relationship easily accepted by society or being able to show affection openly. Yeah, because it is already there for them. But for, as I said earlier, for lesbian or gays, they don't have that privilege. Okay, their power is outside, so that group is marginalized. If marginalization is a matter of being outside the center of power, that draws our attention to another fact. That fact, the fact that there are many different kind of power and many different kind of inequality. When marginalization there, so it leads to a difference in power and inequality. Right? Now, there are, of course, obvious kinds like economic power and income inequality, or a political power and the political enforced inequalities like segregation or slavery. Yeah. But there are less obvious like social or cultural power and inequality there. For instance, people who speaks with non-standard accents or dialects are often judged harshly for them and can be seen as less intelligent or less mature. There are obvious inequalities and there are less obvious inequalities. Those things happening because of marginalization, and marginalization sometimes happen because of your social location, right? Ola link. Okay. Sociology would help us identify and understand all those things and maybe even try and fix them. And that's the point. Sociology is all about understanding society. Good sociologists can help us to create good public policy. And if we think back to Comte, the philosopher, his desire was to do just this, to understand and maybe to fix society's problem. If you go back to late 18th and 19th centuries, yeah, the late 18th and 19th centuries were a time of massive economic and social and political upheaval happen in Europe. This was when industrialization really took off, with factories sprouting up like weeds connecting by larger and large rail networks. At the same time, the population of Europe exploded, growing faster than at any time in the previous history. This was especially true in cities where industrial production centralized. And all these massive economic and social changes came with political shocks. This period saw the advent of mass democracy, the fall of kings, and rise of nation state. No more kings, all democratic, right? This combined with the rise of science, the discipline was the context in which sociology arose. During that period only, this sociology arose. Yeah. The first sociologists looked around quickly changing societies, and we are driven to try and scientifically understand them. We said earlier that society wasn't just big things like revolutions, industrialization, or demographics, but it is also these things. It is both the big and small because they are related. Sociology is about understanding the whole thing at every level and how these levels interact. It is about understanding why you don't have to raise your hand at dinner table and why so-called common sense can be lead to a massive policy mistakes. Yeah. 200 years back, slavery is a common sense. Now, slavery is no more accepted. So you look at the familiar things in a strange way. Yeah. Understood? Today, we discuss about sociology and what it does. Yeah. If we come from beginning, we shared 3 stories. One is the Priyanta Kumara story. I pointed out he did not understand the society, the culture, and he did something correct in technically, but in that society it is not correct or it is not accepted. So he was happened to sacrifice his life. When it comes to the story of Millennium City, I told you at Piliandala, whatever this regional state project, the company is failed because they did not understand the sociological factor and they have not addressed that factor. However, the person who started with that project survived, so without getting any personal injury to anybody, because he understood that sociological factor. And then I told you all the matter with the Larkandian Hotel when they open up sometimes back, and how the villagers protested because of their malfunctioning sewage treatment plant. And the university people, the team of students, when they are addressing this issue, so they did not understand properly the sociological factor in basically presenting. Yeah. And then with that, we highlighted the importance of understanding the sociology. Because we realized that, so how much technologically sound is no matter if society is not accepted. So we understood the importance of the sociology. So then we started discussing the sociology as a science. We discussed about many philosophers. This is one of the Comte is one of the very initial stage philosopher who introduced this sociological science. Then we look at how the term sociology is being created. We identified that derived from Latin and Greek words, meaning society study. And then we discuss many definitions given by the philosophers, more or less the same meaning. Then we went back to a thought bubble to understand the society. And we understood that the song that you are singing is not your choice. It has been decided by many. Then we said that now sociology is trying to understand the social world objectively through controlled and repeated observation like other social sciences. Then we see how the sociology is different from other social sciences. And one of the difference is this sociological perspectives. We discuss two sociological perspectives. The first one, seeing the general in particular. You look at a particular person's a particular behavior and you try to understand the general pattern. And the second one is seeing the strange in the familiar. You look at the common thing, the familiar thing, but you try to understand strange of that behavior. Then, in that sociological perspective, we discuss three concepts in the study of society. Those concepts, social locations, marginalization, power and inequality. Then we said that your social location influence your decisions. We said that the song that you are singing is not purely your, it is your social location. I said the son of politicians may be a politician in future. Yeah. And I said, when you are in different social groups, your power may be out of the center of that society. If it is not in that society, that we said marginalize. So then we identified marginalized group. The one of the marginalized group, we said the upcountry tea plucking people. Yeah. Then because of this marginalization, I said there are different kind of power and different kind of inequalities. These inequalities, I said, obvious and less obvious. The obvious things, the economic power. Less obvious things, the cultural and the social things. Then we said the sociology, the science is there to understand all these issues and to fix them. So good sociology, we said, can create good public policy and thereby can resolve the problems. Guys, that's only for the today's lesson, right? We'll have any questions? We can discuss now. Any question? Anything? You all want to discuss any example? Any problem? So any feedback? So what do you all think? Sociology, is it an interesting subject? I think it's really interesting, understanding the people. Yeah. So finding the general things in particular behavior and seeing the strange in the familiar. That's the two perspectives, right? You should be able to understand those things. You should be able to see those things. Then you can understand the people, behavior, and the society. So when you know those things only, so your engineering projects can be implemented without any problem. Any question? Anything? Okay, shall we stop then? Or you all want to discuss anything?